anything but Star Wars. Give me the Star Wars. Don't let them end. Star Wars. If they should Star Wars, please let me Star Wars.
All right, here we go. And we're back. Or here.
Welcome back.
Rather. Yeah. I don't know. We didn't leave anywhere. It's just, I don't want to call this episode 16. I think this is a standalone special. Welcome to the Rogue One special, the Star Wars special, the in-depth spoilerific-tastic fucking thing about stuff about Star Wars.
Rogue One holiday special, a Star Wars story.
Never put holiday special with Star Wars ever.
Actually, the Star Wars show.
The
just
Star
did a
Wars show, they did a
just
whole episode of the holiday, yeah.
You know what's funny, too, because it's kind of bullshit, is one of the proposed, like, commercials that I did was, like, a old 70s Kenner commercial for these fucking sunglasses, and they were like, well, we're trying to move away from the old-timey, like, you fucking liars, you goddamn fucking liars, because you just did it for the Star Wars show.
Lucasfilm said they're trying to move away from the old-timey?
The marketing VP said it, and I was like, that okay. Sure.
No. Star Wars is old-timey.
Exactly. Well,
Hey,
just,
you could...
just like so the first proposed commercial was like, oh, like you put on these Star Wars sunglasses, you become the character, and like we can buy costumes and like have like these cool little things. And the marketing VP said it blends fantasy and reality too much. And I was like,
what's the fucking point?
and then like the very next day, that Nissan commercial comes out where it's like driving through the fucking war zone.
Yeah,
I'm like,
the Nissan Rogue.
I think that blends reality and fantasy too much. I hope someone told Nissan that that's not approved.
Your company, man. Your company. So, this episode, as we promised, we are going to get... We're gonna take Rogue One. We're gonna put her on the table. We're gonna cut it open. We're gonna open that thing up. We're gonna dissect this fucking thing. Look at every goddamn part.
I got notes.
Examine it.
And I will probably be leaving in about
notes?
20 minutes because I got a kid that goes to bed.
I got a kid that goes to bed too, and he's up there watching Sesame Street. Put Sesame Street on for yours. It does wonders.
All right, so where do we want to start, guys?
Fuck.
Let's jump right into it.
There is this, like... Again, I'm going to give one last spoiler warning for this episode. We are not holding anything back. So if you have not seen the movie, don't listen to this. Turn this off now and go to the episode 15, the previous one, if you want to hear our initial thoughts.
Just call the episode spoiler warning.
Maybe. Maybe I should. Damn, dude. Fucking CG Tarkin. Fucking...
Well, this goes back to...
They all die! They all fucking die!
This goes back to my original, like, my first watching of this movie, where not only was the 4D distracting, the setting itself, seeing the setting so perfectly, like, well crafted that I had to pay attention to the detail, and the more I pay attention to the detail, I realized that a character was talking the whole time and I wasn't paying attention to them, right? And then you see like characters that are supposed to be dead, like Tarkin, and I'm like, he looks really real, but not quite real, where I can't tell that he's not real. Like, so I was staring at him the whole time. I'm like, wow, that looks really good. Fuck, he's been talking this whole time. Like, I forgot everything you just said. So
my question to you is, how high were you?
I cannot answer that on this podcast, but let's just say Massachusetts has legalized things.
Well, you were in Massachusetts.
Cuba, please cut this out.
Mass. You're good.
So goddamn high. He was looking at the veins in Tarkin's face like, oh, look at the light.
I see his blood pumping. Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. So, I mean, Christ, getting right into it.
No, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, God damn, it's a good movie. The first act threw me off. I didn't like Also, you got to admit, I told you, I leaned over to you in the beginning, and I said, it was so weird without a crawl. Or anything. Like,
It was.
They just went, boom, like Rogue One. It's like,
But I mean, I will say that at the end when the normal end credits is like, if they didn't have that, if they had just like some weird like mashup of music in Hollywood, it's like, no, that didn't work. But just the fact that it ended with the Star Wars music, it's like, okay, I'm good. I would have liked, because there was like the music when it showed the title card, it was like boom or something.
Yeah, we'll get into
yeah,
the
that
music
was
a little
very
bit,
jarring too. Like you had
it was. I almost wish it was something like Rebels. How like their intro is like the Rebels logo is like
Yeah.
it's like something.
Just someone with a tuba flying through spaces and what the motion you made.
Or even like have that right after A Long Time Ago in a Galaxy Far Away, Rogue One, then you start. But like having it go Long Time Ago, Galaxy Far, Far Away, then a flashback scene, then the title card, and it was just like, that didn't quite flow as well as it should have.
The only reason I can forgive it is because they're trying to figure it out still.
Yeah.
It's the first standalone movie. They're like, because there was talks like, should we have an opening crawl? This isn't a saga story. No, only saga stories are going to have the opening crawl. Even the Clone Wars, though, had like their sort of Star Wars thing. Like, again, like Rebels intro is similar to the Clone Wars thing. They dropped the stupid like fortune cookie thing at the beginning of every Clone Wars episode.
I liked that though.
I didn't.
Well, I liked it. Or I'll put it this way: I liked it when they did like quotes that they attributed to people, like characters and stuff like that. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's fine. But they just dropped that for Rebels. They don't have that, which Rebels doesn't need that.
No,
it's like,
it doesn't. Well, the Jedi, all the it's a fight for.
right.
They don't need that.
It's like, again, when it was attributed to character, it was cool, but then sometimes it was like, the will of the many outweighs the needs of the few. It's
But
like, wait a minute.
usually, from what I remember, the quote had something kind of to do with the episode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it made it it wrapped it together. It was kind of neat.
I didn't like it because it was like almost like a G.I. Joe and now you know type of moment.
That's why I liked it. It gave that like wholesome quality to it. Like I was watching quality television.
That's like at the end of the episode, you'd have like Obi-Wan going like walking into like the bathroom as two kids are about to like smoke up with weed and going, you really shouldn't do that because it affects your brain.
Throw away those.
We didn't
death
know
sticks.
that, Master Kenobi.
Yeah. Man, in 20 years, Master Kenobi, they're gonna legalize it in Massachusetts. Shut up.
No, but
So
go ahead.
Well, I was going to go into a larger point. We were going to talk about music, but it's tough because there's so many things. I really liked this movie overall. I think it did a lot of things right. But my favorite part, as we know, it always seems like I'm very pessimistic when it comes to movies because my favorite part of watching movies, talking about movies afterwards, is nitpicking and pulling like one little thread, like one thing. I just seen like this one little thing, and then pulling that with you guys, pulling that one thread, and then seeing what else unravels, what else falls out. You know what I mean? So it's tough because we've already talked about how much we love this movie. This movie, it's great, and from me. I hate everything in the new you. I'm an EU hardcore,
He just did like a gang sign.
Oh,
Like with his hands, he was like,
dude,
I'm
I did.
EU hardcore. Like he contorted his fingers and like pointed down.
I did. So, for me to give this a ringing endorsement is huge. There was a lot this movie did right. Fuck, there's so much of it. I don't even know what to go into at this point. We're all kind of like, ooh.
Yeah, we're all like,
So it had a shaky. I know you just had cerebral palsy there for a second.
I had a little Marty McFly.
That's one thing to say
Too
about
soon?
the movie is like it wasn't perfect for sure, but it's trying new things and really trying to make the balance of how far do we go, but we also want to make it different in a way, and that can only be rewarded with supporting it in all shapes and sizes until they just like stop caring about it and are just throwing shit at a wall.
Yes. See, it was not a perfect movie, but I will say my like and love of this movie obviously gradually grew as a movie. Like, it had a shaky first act. The second act was like, okay, we're getting there. I can see where this is going. And by the third act, it's up in the fucking clouds. You're like, oh my god!
There was so much like whispering between me and Roy and like shoulder like shoving with the elbows like
dude,
oh shit like,
we were 17 we were 17-year-old kids watching the attack of
and we were next to like a fucking 50 60-year-old dude, and I feel like we were annoying him because like look at the fucking ghost.
Yeah, tons of cool Easter eggs that Cuba had to pick out for me because I don't really watch Rebels hardcore yet.
Yeah, there was a lot of Rebel Easter eggs in this movie. A lot.
I definitely want to get into like at least for the 10 minutes I have left. I want to get into the fact that like the trailers, everything in the trailer is not in this fucking movie. Where the hell did this real movie go? What the fuck is that?
No, you know, like I will disagree with your statement. Like, where's the real movie? Because the real movie is what's released.
Yes.
Yeah,
I will say
absolutely.
that the final product is what hopefully the filmmaker, the director wanted. Hopefully that's what their vision was. And from what I understand from researching and looking into this was that they essentially filmed the movie, and then Disney came back and said, "Hey, here's several million more dollars," and they were like, "Oh fuck!" So they went back to the third act essentially, and they pretty much added that the whole sequence with the Rebel fleet showing up. From what I understand. Like nobody knows what the original cut was, but we do know from the trailers was that somehow Cassian and Jyn get out of that communications tower because we see them running on the beach with the Death Star plans.
Yeah, well, not only that, but we see her walking on the catwalk towards the TIE fighter.
Towards a TIE fighter. So we can only assume that her and him running on the beach with the plans is after that TIE fighter incident. I'm assuming maybe Krennic was in the TIE fighter. I would assume,
or maybe that's how she escaped, or got
that's what I was
she
thinking.
Jumped in there, and who knows?
It seemed more like that was an escape thing because she turned and started walking towards it.
Maybe
She gave that like shit, that stare of like, and fuck you, and then she's turned and walked away. You know?
No. She walked towards it with a blaster in hand.
But she wasn't like, oh fuck, there's this goddamn TIE fighter right there.
No. She looked at the camera, which would be like the perspective of Krennic. Like we're standing where she's looking, and then she turns and walks towards the TIE fighter. She's like limping.
Yeah, I mean maybe I don't know, but from what I nobody knows what the final cut was, what the original cut was, but the final cut was like they gave them the money, and they're like, okay, well we're gonna have the Rebel fleet come, so. And
it was cool.
If the original didn't have the Rebel fleet in it, then poo-poo on you, because that when the fleet shows up, just the fact that Imperial captain on the Star Destroyer is like, those are Rebel ships. Like he's in just like complete dumbstruck disbelief, and like that was just so fucking cool that these like the Rebel fleet like is just.
But that wasn't really the Rebel fleet. That was just a small portion of the Rebel fleet. That was just the ones that were. The way I took it is that
it's whatever rebels were under Admiral Raditz' command.
Is it Raditz?
Raditz.
Great. I call him Gray Akbar.
Gray Akbar.
Which I think that we need to make a T-shirt because I was like, yeah, Gray Akbar, and then you went, it's a ruse. So we need to make a T-shirt of him saying it's a ruse with Admiral Akbar just like with his arms crossed, looking at him like, you son of a bitch.
Well, that's what they said. Like he was inspired by Winston Churchill, so they made him short and fat.
Yeah.
I'm assuming
he even had like the English accent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He had an English accent.
Yeah, I'm assuming, like, because of his death or capture, Akbar ascended to the, his position of fleet admiral is what I'm guessing. Again, there's just like so much to talk about. So I apologize right now, everybody. Like we are not going in like linear order. We're just jumping all over.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
We are fucking. We have like the hardest Star Wars boners right now. We're just jumping around the room. That's
get back on track before I gotta go. So, the scenes in the trailer look like we could have gotten a completely different movie, maybe more spy oriented and like escape oriented. There were some scenes in there that they absolutely should have like kept in, like the Asian people running and like you see the feet of the CRTs or whatever the hell they're
Asian
called.
people, you racist bastard.
What are they? The Wills. The Will.
Oh, Godzilla!
That's what it was kind of like.
Guardian of the Wills, Baz and Churchute.
Chirrut.
Yeah, like I'm gonna remember
Chirrut
that
Imwe.
until I watch this thing 5 more times. But like there was some key scenes that you're just like, that is fantastic. I will say though, one thing that they absolutely did not need in this fucking movie is goddamn tentacle porn. Why was
It was a pointless.
You know what Star Wars really is really missing? Tentacle hentai.
Yes, there's I had to look for things to complain. I googled like everything wrong with Rogue One complaints, Rogue One not good. 90% of the complaints are fucking just stupid. One website I even saw was like angered me. Like one of the complaints was, and they had R2 and 3PO in there for a scene, and it made no sense because R2 and 3PO meet for the first time in A New Hope. So how can they know each other before this movie? And I'm like, fuck you, fuck your website, fuck your unborn children,
Fuck your mother.
You know, so it was like a lot of things like that. But one thing that is, I think we can all agree on was that squid tentacle porn thing. Didn't make any sense. I get it. Like, Saw Gerrera is paranoid. That is the major thing I got. He's an extremist. He's paranoid that everybody's out to kill him now, even the good guys. Okay, so he doesn't believe this guy's defecting. Couldn't they just... there's so many callbacks to this movie. Couldn't he use, like, a repurposed, like, Imperial fucking rape droid, the little black thing with the fucking rape needles? Something like that. Instead of, like... Yeah, this... It's like, the bad thing about Cthulhu is people tend to lose their minds.
For 10 minutes.
Yeah, for 10 minutes.
And he can lose his mind. He just... I am the Imperial pilot. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm the Imperial pilot. Yeah, I got all the information you need to know. Let's go.
Yeah, it's like...
It was so stupid.
It was. It like my complaint with The Force Awakens, how so much, like, they went painstaking steps with the practical effects. So through so much of that movie, and then we get the Rathtars, which were so blatantly digital effects. The big rolling tentacles in that movie. I think that's like a new Star Wars tradition, is that you have to have some sort of tentacle monster in the movie.
They went Men in Black.
They did, but the Rathtars look so fake that, like, it's like, oh man, it's like everything in this movie is so real. But I understand those are hard to do. But you can look at movies from 1980 to 1993, and every weird monster of all shapes and sizes were all real puppets, practical effects. You can take a giant fucking ball, you can throw some teeth and tentacles on it, and with today's technology, you can digitally enhance it to make it look real. It doesn't need to be a complete digital effect. Same thing with the fucking tentacle monster in this movie was... if they had, like, when the tentacles are wrapping around his face, if those were just real, if that was just like some sort of animatronic puppet, I would have been okay with that. It's like, okay, the whole body wasn't real, but the close-up shots would have been real. But, again, that is like the most nitpicky thing I can fucking find about this fucking movie.
Well, I have more nitpick. Let me get into my nitpick. So
let me get my nitpick.
So Tarkin. I know a lot of people were saying, like, it was a little bit disrespectful to have him, like, in there so much.
That, I think, is a stupid argument.
I don't know if it's not that. I mean, we're just not sensitized, I guess, to that, because we're like, ooh, Star Wars and it's Tarkin, and he can be in there if he wants, even if he's dead, so fuck you. So I think, like, in memory of the actor, they could have had that opening scene with him, and you see, like, his reflection, right? And... keeping it his reflection but still talking, that would have been very, like, respectful, and still keeping him in the movie and in the plot. Maybe you could also have him as a projection so you don't necessarily see the overall CGI-ness of him, and replace the majority of his scenes with Vader, like, being not exactly saying what he's saying, but just being, like, imposing and being like, we will get these plans, and like, we will finish this station.
For those of you who can't see me, which is everybody, I have my thumbs down, both of them, and I'm shaking my head because I disagree with everything that's flowing out of your mouth
when
right
you're
now.
When you're into the technical stuff, yes, Grand Moff Tarkin is one of the few people that can like boss Darth Vader around, and he was the one who like kind of hedged the whole Death Star project in the first place. But you could have geared it in a way where, you got a little bit more of Vader, especially since we only got 2 scenes with Vader. One that was, sort of anticlimactic, that the whole time was very distracting the first time. So very distracting the first time. Because not only
if your chair is spinning around, it's
well,
very hard to be...
not only
screen
that...
accurate, and I was like, well, why does he look like that? They're probably going for extremely accurate New Hope stuff. So that was distracting me looking at the costume, not listening to actual Darth Vader. But
not only were you listening to him, but he's
breathing in your ear.
Try not to. Yeah, be careful not to choke on your aspiration. Like we're making dad jokes now.
But see, I like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's Anakin joke. If you watch all of the Clone Wars, if you watch even an episode, even in Revenge of the Sith, General Grievous. You're shorter than I thought.
But Darth Vader
is for
shorter
sure.
Than first, it's shorter than I expected. How fucking dare you, sir?
The whole time,
dude. I'll
kick you off this podcast.
I said verbatim the opening crawl.
Guys, I gotta go. Come on.
Fine.
So
finish
the whole time, he's holding his belt wrong, he's holding his fucking grip hand wrong, and I'm like, who hired you, sir? Who hired you? He looked
like he was trying to finger a girl.
He looked like a little stumpy Vader. He wasn't tall enough, so that bothered me to a nitpicky degree. It was corrected on the second viewing where I was like, okay, this doesn't bother me as much. I was definitely just getting distracted and going in a certain way, but the only true issue that I have with this movie above everything else is the goddamn chick, Jyn Erso, whatever her name is. She could have been replaced by a plank of wood. Stickley from Nickelodeon could have played this character better than she fucking played it. They could have just put her picture on a piece of wood and just kind of moved it around the frame. Oh no! And it would have been 100 times better. She did not emote.
I didn't like her either.
Where she kind of emoted, but she didn't have a lot of dialogue. So your character acting ability needs to be a little bit, Will Smith level to make your character charming.
There was... Sorry.
I'm
trying to jump in.
You're not gonna get an edge. I gotta go pretty much right now. But yeah, that's my only issue. Really with it, besides the nitpicks.
Yeah, to follow up on your point of that, I think you're absolutely correct. I called it, with that first trailer when she's like, "I rebel." Shut up.
Well, in all fairness, they didn't use that line.
True, but that acting carries through the movie. There's only 2 parts where she was believable, and the funny thing is that they were both almost womanly emotional parts. One when she saw the thing of Galen, the holographic projection, the message. Mm-hmm. She had tears in her eyes, and she was like, "I'm here." And then when her dad died, anytime she tried to be inspirational, rebellions are built on hope. It just didn't work. It fell so flat.
Yeah. I hear you. Before you get into, because I really got to go this time, I just want to say...
All right, well, get off the pot.
I'm leaving right now, but I just want to say, goddamn, that fucking Jason murder-esque Vader death scene. Fantastic. Goosebumps. I'm out, motherfuckers. Bye.
Mic drop. Mic drop, motherfuckers.
So Cuba,
shit. So much to... All right, so I'm going to go back to the beginning of his points. I think you probably disagree with me on this. Tarkin, I disagree. It could not have been just his reflection in a hologram because Tarkin is too important to the Death Star. Tarkin had to be on the Death Star and in command of the Death Star because this movie ends, let's say within a 12-hour window of A New Hope. Mm-hmm. Tarkin's already there in A New Hope. Mm-hmm. So this shows how he got there. It's very good job on the test. I'll take this now. It's and the hey,
you're supposed
if you're gonna leave, stop making noise.
You're supposed to be gone.
Oh, now we just sound weird. So upon first viewing, I was excited when I saw Tarkin the first time. I was like, holy shit, because I wasn't expecting that.
Well, Tarkin looks good when he's by himself. As soon as when they put him as with other actual actors on the screen, to me it fell apart. Like, I even made a noise at that part. I don't know if you noticed, but as soon as it happened, I went, "Ooh!" Like it. That's because in CGI, there's two things we can't replicate when it comes to, like, we can do it in, say, like Moana, like, you know how like they did like the hair effects. It looked really good. There's two things we can't replicate: hair and tongues. So when he was talking, literally, his eyes looked good. They had the perfect amount of shine, but there was something. It was just it hit the floor of the uncanny valley for me when there was other actors on the screen. In the very beginning, I even said to you, I was like, "Holy shit!" I don't know again if you noticed, but I went, "Holy shit!" Yeah. Like, is that painted? Like, I didn't know if they painted.
That was one of those, like, we like nudged each other's like, "Oh shit" movement.
I couldn't tell if it was Tarkin painted on somehow or if they. I didn't know how they did it, but when they put him on with other actors, it kind of lost it for me. Leia, when she didn't move at all, worked, but as soon as she said, like, hope,
right,
like, her mouth didn't quite move right. I don't know, there was something that was just, I don't think that we're there yet. We're very close, but I think in 5, 6, 7 years, this isn't going to age well.
Now, again, you only saw this once.
Mm-hmm.
I was fine with Tarkin the first way through. The second viewing, he looked even better.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I'll see.
Yeah,
it might have been that layer of grime.
Yes, and that's one quick thing I was gonna say is how he had seen it in fucking 4D and shit like that. And I said in our previous episode that this is a movie you have to watch in, like, you know, a nice big regular screen, but like high definition. My second viewing, I went to go see it at a local mall, and like that screen was so fucking grimy. Like, on the scenes on Scarif, where, you know, they're on like a tropical beach and it's daytime and it's light, I could see the layer of filth as the camera's panning, but it's not, like, the camera's moving, but like the filth isn't, and I'm like, that's a fucking movie screen. That's gross.
I can see, like, the beautiful beach, the camera pans over, you see the grime, and there's just that cracked-faced Indian with, like,
Just
some
one
one
teardrop.
The old pollution commercials.
Yeah, but going back to Tarkin, I thought I looked fine. The first go around, I was thinking that, like, maybe the second time he'll look fake, because I'm reading that's a big complaint about a lot of people. And like I said, when he said it, that people complaining that, like, oh, it's disrespectful to his memory. No, it's not.
No.
He's fucking dead. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
They worked with his estate, because he died with no living relatives, so he, like, bequeathed everything to his secretary.
Okay.
So she actually helped them get his mannerisms down and everything. And she said in an interview that when she got a screening of the movie, she was in tears because they brought him to life again.
That's cool.
So, you know, so to anyone saying that disrespects his memory, it just simply doesn't.
It only would have disrespected the memory of him if the movie sucked.
Right? Yeah. If the movie sucked,
the movie was fantastic.
Yeah. So again, the second viewing, I thought he looked even better. When he was interacting with other people, there's something I noticed, like just his facial expressions. He wasn't just sitting there blankly. Like, he did, like, little eye squints and stuff like that. That I'm like, oh, those are so, like, Tarkin expressions. You know, like, when they're like, oh, we have reports of a rebel attacking our facility on Scarif, and he goes, inform Director Krennic. He's already there, sir. And then he squints his eyes slightly and, like, looks over to the left and looks back at, like, then, like, his eyes go back to the guy. He goes, prepare for the jump to hyperspace. Like, that just little 5 seconds of animation was Tarkin thinking, this is my opportunity to get rid of this guy who's a pain in my ass and a competitor.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, but just, like, the acting that this CG face mask did in that few minutes, I'm like, that was good. Yeah. That I didn't notice the first time. The first time I was still kind of wowed. I noticed more subtleties, I guess, the second time.
How did you feel about Leia?
Leia, both viewing looked fake.
If for some reason it's gonna sound weird, but in my mind, my memory, I feel like her cheek looked a little funny, like the cheek that was.
They made her rosy.
No, not the color of the cheek, but like the angle. It might have been something behind her that was like white, because obviously a lot of stuff in the Tantive 4 is white. The
Right.
hallways, the front, all that stuff. So like it might have just been kind of like almost the same shade of her skin, but it just looked very angular. You know what I mean?
See, I didn't notice that, but I mean, the first time I saw it, I said, "Hey, the CG on Leia is good, but she definitely looks fake, especially when she talks."
Yeah.
The second time, same thing. I'm like, she still looks fake.
See, her-
the second, but it's
her,
the
they didn't-
lighting.
yeah.
I think it's the lighting
It's too
that.
bright.
Yeah.
Her, they didn't need to show. It would have been fine, in my opinion.
If they just showed her from behind.
That was fine.
Yeah.
If like she just put her hand out and they just put it in her, you know what I mean? That would have been fine.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't mind that they showed her. Again, it just adds to the continuity, because after the second time I watched it on Sunday the second time.
Mm-hmm.
When I got home that night, at the end of the night when my day was done, I popped in A New Hope, and I'm like, oh, this is so fucking satisfying. Like, it just, and this is the beauty of Rogue One, and I can't say yet if I like it better than The Force Awakens. They're different. The Force Awakens, I got these tingles in my cockles of nostalgia, where it's like, oh, fucking Han, fucking Chewie, oh, it's Leia, oh my god, it's Luke. It's like those nostalgia hits were good, but it's like this, we're finding out what happens. This is uncharted territory with a lot of nostalgia hits.
There's a lot of uncertainty there.
Right. This one, like, I don't know if nostalgia hits is the right thing. Like, obviously, we have Yavin 4, we have the X-Wings, we have the Death Star, we have Tarkin, we got Leia, we got Vader. None of that hit me the way seeing, I guess, like, the original characters but older.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the thing, is just seeing them as the same characters but 30 years older, that just hits you differently. But this movie, this movie to me, and you're gonna like get super excited about this, emphasizes the deficiencies in The Force Awakens to me. Like, I still like The Force Awakens. It's still above the prequels, I think, in my rating chart. But Rogue One makes me realize, and I understand why, to an extent, why they did a lot of the decision making in Force Awakens, but it makes me just realize that, like, again, like I said, deficiencies. There's so many things in The Force Awakens that were good, but the wrong things that were wrong, and things that didn't feel right. And I understand the rehash of a plot thing. And that was another stupid review that I read for Rogue One. It's like, another Death Star story. It's like, dude, this is the Death Star story.
Yeah.
It's like, this is like the most important of the fucking Death Star stories.
It does, but I've also said this to other people. I said, this movie, just like you said, it makes me realize how much I didn't really like The Force Awakens. You know what I mean? It just does. Like, when you see the Death Star blot out the sun.
Right.
Like, you're like, that, even though it's not nearly as big, as Boo Starkiller Base, you know what I mean? It's like imposing in a way that Starkiller Base will never be.
Right.
Because it's dark, it's gray, it's utility. It's just utility.
It's like, I respect the Death Star more, especially now, because, like I said to you the night we watched it, I was always under the impression that it was only the second Death Star that could target smaller objects.
Oh, really?
Like my whole life, when they target the Mon Calamari ship that it first destroys, and everybody's like, whoa! I thought everybody was shocked because the Death Star can target something so small. I only thought that, like, it's built to destroy planets. That's all that super laser can do.
No, see,
when they showed it, like, targeting individual ships, that blew my mind, as in, like, wow, what a technological advance over the first one. I'm assuming the first one now, based on what we've seen, could probably do that.
Yeah, well, the only reason they didn't blow up any capital ships in A New Hope is because there weren't any.
But,
exactly.
Yeah.
They used the one-man fighters only because they used the one-man because they've said, oh, it's vulnerable to one-man fighters.
Right. But it's just that's the impression that I got with the second Death Star.
Okay. See, I always
and then just seeing that, like, like you said, it blotted out the sun. You know,
Starkiller.
we've all known that the Death Star could jump into hyperspace, but just again, we didn't see it go into hyperspace, but just the fact that it jumped to multiple locations in this movie.
Yeah.
And I know it jumped to Yavin 4. I'm assuming it jumped to Alderaan, but it's like we didn't get that sense. At least I never got that sense. It's just like it's just there. But just hearing him say like, "Prepare for the jump to light speed," and then when they go, "Something massive just came out of hyperspace," I'm like, "Oh yeah." So yeah, they made it a scary, imposing super weapon.
It is.
And like you said, like the Starkiller base, it can't defend itself. Like if it was attacked by a fleet, could it target these individual fleet ships? You know, we don't know, because the smart thing to do would have been to not destroy it in the first episode, and you know it escapes.
How? It doesn't have engines. It's a planet.
It can jump. That's from what I understood. The Starkiller base can jump.
Trees. It's got forests on it. It has a landscape. How can it survive that? It would scour clean.
How the hell do you think? Like, what? It just sucks the power from one star, and then that's it.
That's all we saw. That's what I would assume. That was the
So
whole
it's a
problem.
one-shot fucking deal.
That's the whole problem with Starkiller Base in the first place. Is that once it eats up all the stars that it can kill to shoot these stupid fucking red missile things, it's useless. That's why we were like, what the fuck? How can something that has a living surface, it has a biome on its surface, I'm assuming it has some sort of animals, it's a planet. If we imagine Earth right now with giant ass engines installed in Japan or Australia that push it through hyperspace, what do you think would happen to our side of the planet?
I'm assuming a planetary shield.
See,
I don't know.
See, that's like bullshit. Because it would never
I don't
do
know.
that.
I don't know. I just, again, Rogue One points out these deficiencies in Force Awakens, because Rogue One, again, this is why I gave it a review of a bucket of fucks, because they thought about the smallest details.
Yeah.
You know, Scarif had a planetary shield. We've heard of planets with planetary shield. We never seen it.
Yeah.
The fact that we got to see a planetary shield was so fucking cool. The fact that the Death Star could jump, you know, we didn't see it jump, but that just, it emerged from hyperspace. It was so cool. The fact that it can target something specific on a planet, so cool and imposing. This movie answered the fact of, you know, why was the thermal exhaust port a weak point?
Yeah.
It was there because it was sabotage.
Everything
that was
down,
fucking great.
Everything down to why is Luke Skywalker Red 5?
Yes, that was fantastic.
You and me were like kids. As soon as it happened, we were like, dude.
The Rogue 5, what are you... sorry, Red 5. It's like, Red 5, what are you doing?
This is some fucking nerd.
Yeah.
God.
Like, it really did. It's... That's... that. Look, I know JJ loves Star Wars, and obviously The Force Awakens was made by massive Star Wars fans, and that's the great thing of all Star Wars moving on, that it's made by fans. It's made by people that grew up with Star Wars, but The Force Awakens had, I think now from watching Rogue One, a little more studio hands on it. You know, it's like, you know, make it how you want, but these are the things that we want to make sure in it.
The aesthetic was better.
I apologize for all the sniffling. Like, I have a cold, and so I know it's
big,
just like every
dicks in your ass is bad for your health.
Oh,
Tell me you got that. That didn't stop the recording, did it?
no, I didn't stop.
Oh, don't delete that.
I didn't delete it.
Don't edit that. I see you reaching for your pen.
I'm just getting. I'm
I know,
ready
I know.
for notes. Edit big dicks.
I think this movie nailed the aesthetic. That's one thing I didn't like about The Force Awakens, is that everything felt too new and different. Starkiller Base. It felt like, I'm gonna take some heat on this one, but it felt like Michael Bay had some influence.
Oh.
I know. It felt like you took some of like a little bit of the way the Transformers looked and put them into everything that the First Order made. Like, everything was too new. Like, things don't change. I don't know.
The First
it just
Order
didn't-
suffered from like tiny man syndrome. Like, they had to be bigger and better than the Empire.
Yeah, it just didn't really work. It didn't work for me. Hold on.
See, like, I like the idea of the First Order was that they are essentially like the inspiration was like, what if the Nazis escaped to Argentina and continued the Third Reich there in secret? It's like I like that. I've read some of the books. It's like I get it. I like the concept. I like Starkiller Base less now because of Rogue One. Mm-hmm. And what are you doing?
Your fucking chair. It's all wobbly now because it's not. The fucking screw came out.
You need a. You're gonna be able to get that back in with your finger.
Oh, you don't know what I can do with my finger.
Oh, your finger's too fat to fit in the hole.
That's why I use my pinky. That's why I use my pinky with a little bit of oomph.
Okay, well, while you oomph that away with your pinky finger, we'll continue on. So no,
I didn't want to fall, dude. Look how wobbly this shit is.
It definitely shows the deficiencies. And again, like you make a good point with The Force Awakens, everything was too new and too different. Which look, I'm fine with new and different. We got a lot of new and different in Rogue One, but we got a lot of also familiar. Like, well, not only one of the things with Maz's castle was we did not see one single familiar alien species, and that was a thing that bothered me in The Force Awakens. Where in this one, we introduced a whole bunch of new fucking things, but we also see a bunch of familiar aliens. I'm assuming that thing that was part of that thing. I sound so species. That big white hairy thing that was part of Saul Guerrera's like insurgents. Yeah. I'm assuming that was a type of Wookiee. It came off Wookiee-ish to me.
I gotta see it again. You know what I mean?
Like it was like a Wookiee with some sort of like Bane face mask thing. Maybe it wasn't a Wookiee, but it looked kind of like a Wookiee. Yeah. We saw a Twi'lek in his base there. I don't remember the alien species, but the thing that Jin was sharing a cell with. We saw that in the cantina in A New Hope.
We got the
Mon Calamari.
We've also got, was it Dr. Ezkaban or whatever his name is?
Oh yeah, Dr. like Ezvazan or whatever. Ponda Bubba. Yeah. Like, that was cool. Yeah, that was a great...
It's cool knowing that they survive and then, like, he gets his arm cut off.
Yeah, it's like 2 days later.
Son of a bitch, I can't win.
That was, like, another thing that I read that people complain about. It's like, oh, they were shoehorned into the movie. The time frame doesn't make sense. Like, what do you mean it doesn't make sense? How do you know they weren't on their way to the spaceport that very moment?
Well, not only that, they went from desert planet to desert planet. Does every single Star Wars movie need a desert planet?
Yes.
Like, literally, think about it. We can't get it. They're like, oh, this isn't Tatooine. This is Jakku.
There's got to be...
This isn't Tatooine. This is Jedha.
There's got to be moisture farmers somewhere in every Star Wars movie.
I know. I thought the same thing. I was like, dude, why are there moisture evaporators when you can see there's, like, it's wet?
Maybe they're... I don't know. Maybe they're some sort of other device. I'm sure those things... harvest more than just moisture. I don't know, but like, again, this God, dude.
I know there's so much.
Whoa!
But
what the hell is that?
I'm gonna go ahead and
give us your notes.
Mine again are all my notes are gonna be mostly nitpicky. You know what I mean? Because it was a good movie, but my favorite thing to do was to take things, look at them from all angles, find little inconsistencies, and pull that thread and see where it leads. So I don't want people to take this as me being pessimistic about the movie, because I really liked it. This is my favorite part of any movie.
I don't know if it's on your notes, but real quick, what did you think about everybody dying in the end? So this is like our spoiler episode, so It's a suicide mission. Rogue One is the group of our heroes that we came to learn and know. And I know you said you didn't feel a connection to them.
It wasn't that I felt somewhat of a connection. It's kind of disingenuous to say I didn't feel anything, because I was like, oh shit. But I was more surprised. Like, usually when a character dies in a movie, you go, like, oh no. Like, if they did their job, you feel bad. You don't want them to die. In this movie, I was more shocked that everyone died than I was sad that everyone died.
Because we're used to the happy ending.
I know, but I didn't feel as much as I wish I did. And I think the problem with that is mostly because I had such a wide cast, you know what I mean? That everybody got some screen time, but, like, I mean, I got up to piss once in a movie, which is...
It was a long movie, too. It was like 2 hours and 15 minutes or something.
Which is saying a lot for me, because I piss like a goddamn racehorse constantly.
He's true.
I got up once. I missed the names of Imwe and the guy with the big gun, the other Asian dude, he looks like he's out of the last.
Chirrut and Baz.
He looks like he's out of the Last Samurai.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They never repeated their names again, not once. The whole time I was just gonna be like, what are their names? What the fuck are their names? I
That's
just
right. You
knew
went to
them.
the bathroom when they said, she asked who they were. He said they were the Guardians of the Wills.
Yeah, like they never. I mean, how many times in the original trilogy do you remember like Leia going Han?
Yeah.
Han.
What about hands?
Han. You know, like everybody's saying each other's names. Like there's no, I don't know. And you only had 3. You did have secondaries. You had Chewie and the droids, and then you had your villains, which I don't really count. They're like their own separate category. But in this, you had Jin, you had Cassian, who I really liked. In the beginning of the movie, I really liked him right away, and then later on, I started to not really. We'll get into that. Then you had Bondi. What was his name? The Imperial pilot. I just know him as an Imperial pilot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you don't even know his name, do you?
No, it was Bodhi.
Bodhi. Okay, number one. Why does the guy who look Irish, Latinish have a name like Cassian? That's just
He's Mexican.
whatever it is. He looks some sort of. He has. His name in real life could be Cassian. If he walked down the street and was like, "Hello, my name is Cassian," I'd be like, "Intriguing, but go on." The 2 guys who look Asian have Asianish names.
They're monks. Or were
But
monks.
they're Asianish. And then the guy, his name fucking Bindi, or what was the name?
Bodhi.
Who looks fucking like he's, with the fucking Indian, Hindu.
Well, because he's Pakistani.
A Pakistani, Middle Eastern. But, like, and then you have the white girl named Jin, some, like, out there name, you know what I mean? Like some fucking millennial decided that, like, my kid has to have a special name. You know what I mean? Just, I don't know. Just everybody had. What happened to cool names that made sense?
Oh, what, like the Star Wars name generator? It's like
No.
your last name plus the first initial,
No,
your middle
like-
name, and a hyphen.
Like Skywalker is obviously a cool name, but Luke is something that we've heard before. Leia rolls off the tongue, like Leia Organa, just works. You know what I mean? Han Solo, short to the point. Han, you can kind of be like, oh, that's Hans, or Han is like a Finnish name. You know what I mean? Even like Lando Calrissian. I don't know if it's just from the years of me saying it and reading it, but there's something about that name that works.
I think it's just the years of knowing
But
it,
like,
because that's a fucking weird name.
Yeah, but Irit Chimwe? No, Chirrut Imwe.
Chirrut, yeah.
Chirrut Imwe just doesn't work. Jin
a-
Urso, I will give it. Jin Urso is easy and simple to say, so I liken that to like Han Solo. You know what I mean? Like the easy. But the names just don't really flow. They don't feel good. You know?
I don't know. It's a very diverse cast, and it's a big fucking universe.
I do
so-
give them credit for doing that. That was cool. Instead of like the original trilogy, you just had 3 white people. They did, balance it
That
up.
went way over my head actually. The first time, like I didn't realize until the second. I'm like, oh wow. I'm like, it is really diverse.
The
Like,
only thing they didn't do is throw either a transsexual or a gay person in the mix.
like these are names, and they don't sound that. They sound like Star Wars names. Jin Urso, Cassian Andor, Orson Krennic, the main bad guy, Chirrut Imwe, Galen Urso,
Imwe.
K2SO, Bodhi Rook, Baz Malbus, and Saw Gerrera. Like, those are all fucking Star Wars names, dude.
Maybe. I don't know. It's just when I say them, I'm like, ugh. Speaking of Saw Gerrera, I like the way he looked. I hate how I felt like he was completely wasted in this movie. I feel like he was a resource that could have been used a little bit better.
I feel he was a victim of reshoots.
Probably. You're probably absolutely right. And I do feel like Forrest Whitaker is a really good actor, but I feel like he was overacting just a tad. He's like, are you here? And then he moves his eye to kill me.
Is it you?
I'm like, come on, man. Like,
Like
but he looked cool. Like, I want to know. I don't know anything about him from the Clone Wars or Rebels, which he's gonna be in or whatever. But like, I want to know how his like from the shins down, how he got those robotic things. I want to know how he got the sort of like quasi Vaderish breath mask that he uses on occasion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 19 years of perpetual war.
But that's cool. I was intrigued in that character, and I liked the fact that he was so paranoid, went to great lengths. I was like, this is a guy I could get interested in. And then they kill him. Like, he doesn't even try.
He's something that I'm sure they're going to expand on in books and stuff
I know,
like that.
but it was just...
that you're not going to read. But, I mean, I'm sure... Like, what I like about him, what I get from his paranoia is that, like, it sounds like maybe he initially was in talks with the other rebels, but he's too much of an extremist.
I feel like he was probably part of the Alliance, and then...
Well, I feel like before the Alliance even formed, he just broke from them. Before there was a formal... alliance.
Yeah, I feel like he was probably part of it, and then he was too extreme for them, so they disavowed him. And then he was like, fine, I'm gonna do my own fucking thing.
Yeah. Well, because they mentioned him in Star Wars Rebels, which takes place the season 3 is like 2 years before this. Okay. The first 2 seasons are like 4 to 5 years before this. And he's mentioned in season 2 as already being an extremist. Like, by the Empire. They're like, his group is called the Partisans.
Oh, well, that works. I mean, that invokes World War II.
Right. So, like, they're people that the Empire, like, doesn't, like, the fucking hates. They don't want to fucking deal with. Yeah. So...
I can see him torturing stormtroopers for information. I mean, a lot like they did to Bodhi.
So I like the fact that he's so paranoid that, like, obviously he hates the Empire, but he can't even trust the Alliance.
Yeah.
You know,
which was I liked him. I did not like how I felt he was wasted.
Get to your notes.
Yes. So let's see. I had written down that there's too many main characters and not enough connection to them because each one got a certain amount of screen time. You know what I mean? But we already covered that. The music. I know why they didn't use any of the classic themes that we know, because this was before that. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not only because it was before that. They used snippets of it.
They used literally a second of, like, the beginning theme. So, like, it'd be like, you'd see the Star Destroyer, and you'd think that they were going to strike up the Imperial theme, but then it would be like, bum, bum, and then, like, kick into something else. Or when they did, the one that was most noticeable was when they showed Leia, and it kicked into literally like 2 seconds of her theme and then into something different. I didn't feel like it was good during the battles, during the, in the third act. I will say, like, it was sweeping, it was grand, but everything up until then fell flat for me. I wasn't really a fan of the original soundtrack. I'd have to listen to it and see if it, like, evokes that in me when I just listen to it straight.
It won't, because it's not a soundtrack in the vein of John Williams where you can listen to John Williams, close your eyes, and picture every scene of the movie.
Do you know what this felt like? It felt like, you know when you're watching a cartoon that like Aaron and you would make, and you can't use licensed music, so you have to make it in GarageBand, and you try to make it close enough so people understand what it is, but you can't make it that music? That's what this felt like. It felt like somebody was making a fan film of, not the movie itself, because the movie was great, but somebody made a fan film and they couldn't use John Williams music, so they had to make their own, trying to emulate it close enough to make you think of Star Wars, but not enough to where they'd get sued.
See, now I had no problem with the music because I'm used to Clone Wars and Rebels, where they do the same thing. It's the same type of a snippet of a classic theme,
which is crazy,
and then they move on to the, like, its own thing, which I have no problem with. It's not John Williams, it's not a saga story, it's different, so it's not a soundtrack I'm gonna buy, or a soundtrack that's gonna be the least bit memorable. But
see, that's the thing, is that there was no memorable themes at all in this, and that was what kind of fucked me up. You know what I mean? Like, the intro was weak. It didn't have, like, any music that I would remember in a million years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it's still a good movie, and that's actually a test to the strengths of the movie, because it was so good that shit didn't matter.
For sure.
You know, like, it still was a good, but again, just nitpicking.
Yeah.
All right. So, another very small thing that you and me went back and forth with before is, why the fuck do they keep on doing this hyperspace and gravity wells thing? Like, this is the second movie in a row that they've done this. And I can tell you, you're like, oh, well, it's bullshit. I can tell you, I can prove to you it's bullshit, because on Hoth, the transport ships had to get up away from the planet. They had to run the gauntlet. That's why they needed the ion cannons to hit the Star Destroyer to, like, stop them from gunning down the transport ships, so those transport ships can get into hyperspace. You can't go into hyperspace when you're in atmosphere. You're too close to the planet.
Maybe the larger the ship, the less
Bullshit.
you can do
No,
it.
that's just some...
larger the ship, the more tied to the planet's gravity you are.
That is such horseshit. You're trying hard.
All we've seen is the Falcon and a U-wing do it.
You're jinking and jiving. You're
The Falcon
jinking and
and the
driving
U-wing.
hard.
They
right
are
now.
relatively small ships. I don't think a Star Destroyer could go
A YT
into hyperspace.
1300 is a cargo freighter.
It's still a small ship compared to the fucking Rebel cargo transport.
What? It's like half the size. So what?
That's double the mass.
Can a Star Destroyer jump from hyperspace? You know what I mean?
I don't think so.
I'm just saying it bothers me from a point of course, Infinity, you, and all that other stuff. They never did that. A lot of the plot points are that you can't get, like, you'll either go through the planet or you'll get pulled out because of the gravity. That's why the interdict.
Interdict?
Yeah, I know. Interdictors work. Is that they create a gravity well that replicates a planet or some sort of big mass with the gravity that pulls you out of hyperspace. If gravity didn't matter, the interdictors wouldn't matter because you would just fly through that.
Technically. All right, so
And
here's
it's a black hole or whatever.
here's
right?
how I defeat this argument right here, right now. Is we saw them. He said, make the jump. He goes, I don't have the calculations. Like, I have your calculations. So as Jeddah is being destroyed by the Death Star, or Jeddah City, the Holy City, it looks like they punch to hyperspace, but you don't enter hyperspace until after you've reached the speed of light. So the ship can accelerate to the speed of light and then enter hyperspace after it leaves the planet.
Were the shields up?
No, on Jeddah.
No, I'm asking, were the shields up on that ship?
No.
No, then it doesn't matter because anything falling would have torn apart that at a fraction of light speed. That's how I defeat your shit right now.
God.
Okay, hitting
This, folks, is why Aaron, the true reason Aaron left.
hitting a pebble at say half light speed would have turned that ship into dust, and we never would have gone to Death Star plans.
I don't know. That's all
I know.
That's all I can think of.
They do it because it looks cool.
Right.
Han does it. No, Han couldn't have pulled in Force Awakens. Couldn't have pulled them out at hyperspace. You're moving past light speed. I don't know like how it stacks up to warp drive, like in Star Trek. Like warp 5 is what, 5 times the speed of light?
No.
Well, I don't know what it is, how it works.
I couldn't tell you the
But-
calculation. It doesn't make sense.
I know, but I'm assuming. I remember in the Falcon in the books went like 1.8 times the speed of light.
0.5.
0.5. Thank you. Well, no, in the books I said. By the time the Yuuzhan Vong War, he had upgraded his hyperdrive engine. So fuck you, sir. So at that speed, I mean, dude, if I were to, and if this would never happen, but if I were to just get up and smack you, you probably couldn't get out of the way. Because I'm moving at a high rate of speed analogous to us. I couldn't do it. I couldn't block you if you wanted to bitch smack me. You're going to tell me that a 70-year-old man could pull a lever to get them out of hyperspace just enough time to where they'd crash on the planet's surface?
It's a lifetime of reflexes.
It's a horse. yeah. But you know what? But apparently he didn't shoot first, quote unquote. Whatever. That. All right. So we've had our little thing about that. Number 2.
2. I think we're like number 5.
Whatever, man. How the fuck? Why did they never? All right, they used the Y wings dropped those ion bomb torpedoes on the Star Destroyer at the shield gate. Therefore, and you could see they didn't hit the shield generators. It was an ion bomb that knocked their propulsion out and everything with it, because you saw the light, the blue light travel around, and all the lights dim and everything like that. Why do they never use that tactic again? Are those like ion torpedoes or bombs or whatever? Like they don't have a lot?
Well,
or is just plot armor?
First, they took out that Star Destroyer's shield tower, so its shields were down.
Okay.
So that's why those worked.
Okay.
Second, it's I'm sure they're limited on what armaments they have, especially ion wise, but I mean, that's not a tactic that you can do in every single battle. Is
Sure you could,
take
why
out
not?
their shields and then have the Y-wings.
It happened in video games. That was like the classic.
From what it looks like to me is that they have a lot more X-wings than they do Y-wings.
Yeah.
And they lost, but when they took out the Death Star, they lost like almost all their Y-wings. There was one Y-wing that survived that battle, so I'm sure they had a couple more in reserve, but I don't think there's many Y-wings. From what I understand, there's an episode of season 3 of Rebels where they actually steal Y-wings from like a surplus army depot or something for the rebellion.
That's cool.
Because the Y-wings were a Clone Wars ship that the rebels essentially like stripped down to like bare bones. So
See, that's my whole point of this with bringing up these nitpicks isn't to point out deficiencies in the movie. Actually, it's actually to try to come up with answers, like the way we were trying to come up with answers for the hyperdrive thing. I'm trying to figure out how we can make things work in the universe itself.
yeah,
So
I just don't. It was like a desperate act. It's like we got all these fucking.
I'm just saying it worked so well that again, plot armor, you can't do that because if you could do it every time, number one, they develop tactics against it, the Empire would, and two, you can't. The rebels in the original trilogy are this like plucky little force of do-gooders, so you can't show them taking out giant Star Destroyers.
I'll tell you one thing is in the movies they take out like the shield domes on Star Destroyers like fucking easy. Both in this movie and Return of the Jedi, just a couple of blaster bolts, 2 torpedoes, boom. Our shields are down, sir. No, dude, I played the X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter games in my younger days.
It takes forever.
Ad nauseum. I had to make so many fucking suicide runs. I typed in the cheat code for fucking unlimited lives, and I think I was in the Y-Wing because it had like double the amount of torpedoes than the other ships. I'd fly at that Star Destroyer, I'd target the shield generator, fire all my torpedoes, fly into the bitch, respawn, do the same thing 4 more times, and then the fucking torpedo, and then it fucking lost its shields.
They take a lot of punishment.
Yeah.
So another thing to do
Goddamn.
with shields is I want to know exactly, this is like a more technical question, how exactly shields in Star Wars work?
At the whim of the creator.
But like it's not you would think it's not a force field skin of the actual ship. Is it? Or is it like a spherical
No,
or
it's
whatever
not like
shape?
Star Trek.
Okay.
You actually see the ship's deflector shields in the Phantom Menace when Anakin goes inside the droid ship, and before he flies back out, like all the droids are coming at him and R2's trying to get the shields on. When he reactivates the shields, you actually see them like bubble and come on and envelop the ship and then disappear really quickly.
Yeah, but
so it's like a thin, invisible skin, but it doesn't take much to knock shields out.
But it's a bubble, or is it like a skin on the ship itself?
I'd say it's almost like a second skin. It's not like in Star Trek where it's like a circle around the ship.
Okay.
It's like in the shape of the ship's
Okay.
outer hull.
Because I was thinking, and I was like, man, how the hell? It has to, the shields have to work in such a way where they don't let, like, obviously, like, charged photons or basically flashes of light, like laser, turbo lasers and all that stuff. Like, they don't let those through, right? Like, it stops those, the shields stop those for the most part.
I think the shields are designed to absorb a certain amount of energy before
Yes.
they go out.
But they stop those. But they don't stop things like collisions from other ships or asteroids like we see in Empire Strikes Back when one of the Star Destroyers is taken out by, the asteroid belt.
Right.
Right? So I was always just wondering, because I always thought, like, would it be like bumper cars, like when they use that that Corvette to the Hammerhead Corvette to push the other Star Destroyer into the other one, which one was... I actually felt bad, and I didn't expect to feel bad for those other people, because they're the Empire. But you're seeing them get sucked into space. Like, it cleaves the top of that other Star Destroyer right the fuck off, and you're seeing, like, stormtroopers and Imperials in like the gray suits and hats just go like woo, just fucking flying right the fuck out into the reaches of space, and I felt like, God damn it, man, that's just people like just.
It's okay, the droids can survive in space.
They're just working for you know what I mean. So I didn't know, like in my mind I always thought that if they had collided, there'd be some structural damage because of the amount of mass, but I didn't know that they would just go right through the shield like that.
Well, fuck,
But
you're getting into some technical shit, but one had shields, the other didn't.
Yeah.
But I mean, also, again, I don't know how shields work per se, but however many millions of tons a Star Destroyer, plus the thrust, it doesn't take much in space to, get something to move at speed. So, he said like sublight engines to maximum. Who knows how fucking fast that is? Obviously enough to push that mass of that Star Destroyer to cleave the other Star Destroyer in half.
Yeah, I would love to see like a film of the inside as you're like maybe you just hear like a whistle like when they're on the inside of that Corvette, like the crew's just like, we gotta do this, we gotta push it, and you just hear like a hissing noise because your atmosphere, because all of a sudden like the bulkhead is like breached slightly, there's a pinhole, and you're like, oh god, our air's all, we're gonna die for the rebellion.
Now, do you think they all died in there, or do you think they like got into escape pods?
I don't know, I'd have to watch it again.
Because I did watch it again, and I made sure I looked. That ship was still in the Star Destroyer as that Star Destroyer collided with the other one, and they all fell into the shield station.
I like to think they went down with the ship for some weird reason. I don't know why. I think that they were given, in my mind, I feel like it's an old, like a captain of a ship, and he was given an order by the admiral that he knew was going to lead to the death of him and his crew, and he just like set to ramming speed, and there's a moment of silence. He looks over his crew, and all of a sudden there's just a bustle of activity, and everyone just looks at him and just like, yes sir, for the rebellion.
Given his face, the face of that captain, I'm guessing it probably was,
It was just
a
a
suicide
cool-
mission.
just
But it's like,
cool.
we know they have escape pods, so it's like, did unnecessary personnel get into escape
Well,
pods?
not only that,
or-
but dude, they're going to be in the escape pod, and then they're going to be in the middle of a battle, like just some TIE fighters going to be like,
Oh,
and just
now,
fucking
that's a point I want to bring
nail
up.
someone.
That was great about this movie. Is like when they're attacking. I know we're just focusing on that third act, but the third act of this movie was that was a fantastic.
It was the most
fucking
important
battle.
one. It was the most important
yeah,
act.
it was. But when they launch, when the shield, base or whatever the hell it is in space around the planet,
the orbital space station.
when they launch their fighters,
It was like 50 on screen at once.
that was fantastic because I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
yes, dude, I will fucking kiss Garth Edwards because that is what I always envisioned. Every single fucking Star Wars movie, when the Falcon escapes the Death Star, they send 4 TIE fighters after them. Yeah. I understand they're tracking them, but like, you want to make it look good. How many goddamn TIE fighters does the Death Star have? Yeah.
Thousands.
When the rebels are attacking the Death Star, they only send, what, a dozen TIE fighters?
I know.
Why do they not send 400 fucking TIE fighters?
Budgetary
Like,
reasons.
block that fucking trench. You just cram all the TIE fighters you can in that fucking trench so that they have to fly into them. It's like,
Just fill it. It's like, yeah, just fill it in, like fill in a ditch with dead bodies or ants or something. They just,
Yes!
just have them continuously crash.
absolutely. Empire. This fucking 4 TIE fighters chasing the Millennium Falcon through the fucking asteroid field again.
Yeah.
There's a fleet of Star Destroyers. You have to have about 4,000 fucking TIE fighters. Yeah. And Return of the Jedi was the only time where it's like, yes, look at all these TIE fighters on screen. Yeah. But even then, you have the Death Star. It's not completed. Maybe they don't have any fighters. But we saw a lot of fighters circling when the Emperor came. We have the entire Imperial fleet.
Plus the Executor.
There should have been more TIE fighters!
Yeah.
So just the fact when they launched all those TIEs, I'm like, yes, that's fucking realistic. That's what I would have done.
They could have just set up like wing to wing, like in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
And just made a 10 deep shield square. Like, yeah, you're not getting through.
Exactly. Like, that was so cool. I might have nudged you at that point. I'm like,
I know. It was cool. And they even showed a female pilot who was like, reinforcements are coming. There's just too many. All right, let's see what else I have. Okay. Yeah, we already kind of talked about a bunch of these. Okay, so now my last kind of point is for future movies. All right. I think the problem with these, this isn't really about Rogue One. It's about the future of Star Wars, the movies as is, though. The thing I really, really don't like, and me and Cuba and Aaron have like a face group chat where we talk, and we talk about Star Wars ad nauseum.
Like this episode.
Yeah, so, well, we were talking about like the Obi-Wan standalone movie that might be coming out, the Boba Fett movie, the young Han Solo movie, which I am not fucking into at all.
Nah, me neither.
I think the movies need to... The movies that, like the, what do you call them? The saga movies? The trilogy movies? What are they calling those?
I think they're called the saga movies.
The saga movies, and then you have the anthologies. I think the saga movies have to base around the Skywalkers and the Solos. But then the anthologies, instead, what made this movie great for me was the fact that although it had main characters and it told a story of somebody, it wasn't based on one person.
They weren't the focus.
It was based on an event. And that's what I think the next anthologies movies need to do. I don't want to see a young Han Solo movie. I want to see a movie about Hoth, how they found how they got and found Echo Base and created Echo Base, and then what's going on during the East, like during when the Empire finds them. Or the main characters are out of there. Say we have a couple rebel soldiers that are stuck on Hoth. They can't escape. They miss the transports or whatever it is, and now they're captured by the Empire. What happens to those people? Let's see some more event type shit, like based stuff like that. I would love to see, say, like, remember how we had the prison planet or the prison colony in the beginning of that's where they got Jin. When the rebels broke her out. Yeah. So you don't even remember because it happened so fast.
It did. Like, I remember going like, oh hey, that's like the tank from the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Like it's been repurposed. That was cool.
I want to see a prison ship. I want to see. I had this really cool idea in my head when I was talking to this other kid at work. Of imagine like a derelict, what is it? The Venator, the Venator class, the old like what people called Star Destroyers, but they're not from the
Clone Wars. Yeah.
The Clone Wars looking Star Destroyers. Imagine one of those. They're huge. Imagine it as like a prison ship where the Imperials know it's there. They don't let anyone out, and they even have some stormtroopers and stuff inside it, like stormtrooper guards, prison guards in there. But really, they just dump political dissidents and criminals in there and let them sort themselves out. And so you have like a community. Now you have to figure out what these rebels are going to do. It's basically like a prison escape movie.
Yeah.
You know, they get caught on Hoth because they don't get away in time. And then it turns into like and you can see what's going on concurrently with the main trilogy that's happening. Now you've got movies that happen behind those events, not explaining huge things, but you could tie it in just the same way. Maybe they escaped from they've been there for a while. They've escaped the prison ship, stealing some sort of other ship, and that ship is one of the ships that you see in the fleet at the end of Empire Strikes Back. When they're looking at that like nebula-looking thing.
That's definitely one thing. I don't want a young Han Solo movie. I don't want a Yoda movie.
I want a Lando movie though, like I described to you.
Lando's gonna be in the young Han Solo movie.
I know, but they're.
I do want an Obi-Wan movie. I think an Obi-Wan movie would be cool.
But I don't. But see, I've heard two things. People said a young Obi-Wan movie. Or a
no, I want
old. You want old Tatooine, like that book from the EU, where
yes.
it was like a Western, almost like a Western.
It was like
romance.
it was like his first month on Tatooine.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Like that was a good book.
Even if they tied in Maul, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's still alive. Last I saw.
If it's all one big continuity, you can bring back Maul and not have to explain in great, huge detail why he's still alive.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, just a few lines of dialogue. But because of this movie, because of Rogue One, what I want more than anything, besides an Obi-Wan movie, is more movies of the Rebellion. I want more movies of the Galactic Civil War. Mm-hmm. Now that we've seen it, because the cool thing about I love the show Rebels, but the Alliance hasn't formed yet in Rebels. Yeah. And what we got in Rogue One, what I understood from it was like the Alliance is new.
Yeah.
Like they even say at one point, we've just gathered our forces. It's like all out war hasn't broken out yet. Just throughout the decades, it's been like a couple of insurgents here, a little bit of sabotage, a little bit of guerrilla warfare here, a little bit there, a little bit there.
But it is cool
and
that
the Empire's just like just swatting little flies here. Now the flies have all gathered, and
they actually have some sting.
Exactly,
Which is cool in this movie is that when they do gather, they've shown that they can kind of like come to blows with the Empire, not in like a huge way, because obviously they do get fucked up in the end.
Yeah.
But they're more than just a small local annoyance. They can, I don't want to say like
right. Well, this is their first collective strike.
Right.
It cost them a lot for sure in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think I read that at least 1/3 of the fleet didn't make it out, because that was another cool thing when we've got the plans, let's get out of here to hyperspace. And and then fucking Vader's Star Destroyer comes out of hyperspace, and they're like, whoa shit, and they're all turning away, and one cruiser's like, fuck, and smash.
Dude, that was cool.
So,
do you know the name of his Star Destroyer?
The Devastator.
Good man. Good man. I was going to say, because somebody asked me at work, who was like, what's the, because the Execute, the Superstar Destroyer's the Execute, and I was like, it's the Devastator. He was like, oh, you're good.
So, that was cool. Even though they won the day cost them. But what we saw, and it continues into A New Hope, that is the beginning of the Civil War. It's not a galactic civil war until that battle above Scarif. That's when the Galactic Civil War officially starts.
Yeah.
That's when the rebels come out in mass and they're like, we're openly, collectively opposing you. So I want to see more of that. Like you said, I would be cool seeing them, we now have 3 years between A New Hope and Empire that they can fill a movie in. Yeah. Finding Hoth, setting up Hoth. That's going on to your prison idea. I'm assuming that Admiral Raddus survived. They didn't show Vader kill him or anything. Vader just cut his way to try to get the plans. I'm assuming the rest of the crew on that ship was taken prisoner and interrogated. So that'd be cool. That'd be a good way. Obviously, nobody else in Rogue One can come back because they were all fucking vaporized. But that character, Admiral Raddus, they can bring him back in a future standalone movie, being rescued from a prison ship or something. Just Akbar is maybe he meets Akbar and goes he's like, you'd be a good replacement for me. Yeah. And don't fall for any ruses.
He's like, no traps.
Yeah.
No traps. But yeah, I don't know. When I work with I have no one to talk to at work all day, so I literally come up with little things in my head. So I worked up a whole plot of that. And I want to see.
I go home and I type fan fiction.
No, I'm not that bad. But I do think that it'd be cool to see things weave in and out. You know what I mean? I like the idea of them taking, when they took the gold leader and red leader and that old footage. And just kind of reworked it a little bit, put some polish on it.
Oh yeah, they took stock footage.
There's no reason why they couldn't do that frame for frame with, say, in my little Prison Break movie or whatever. In the end, when they steal their ship, they end up with the ship with the fleet, and it's the same ending basic frame, not from looking outside the galaxy, but when the ships are going by that.
Yeah.
Show that frame, and it'd be the second or third ship in that line, and then you can, instead of zooming in on the one that Luke and Leia are on, you move past it to their ship.
The ship flies by, and you see Luke and Leia in the window.
You could do that.
Yeah,
you could do shit like that.
This movie has showed us that they can do so much.
Yeah.
So you get somebody, you give it to the right director and the right team that cares. You can do anything, and you can and we haven't even talked about. We're going on an hour and 17.
Hey man, they know what they're getting into.
No, they don't. We haven't even talked about all the Rebels, the cartoon show Rebels Easter eggs in this. So many. So it's so fucking cool. We saw the ghost just parked at Yavin in the beginning of the movie. So fucking cool to see the ghost for real. And then later on, we hear someone call General Syndulla to command room. So it's Hera's alive. We know that. Chopper rolls by. I didn't see that the first time. I had to look it up. So when the second time, it's like when they run out, like to stop Mon Mothma
he's like an
before she
orange
leaves.
and white. He's an orange and white droid, right?
Yeah, like orange and gray. He's got like a fucking shopping cart wheel. Like, he rolls by, like in the background, like literally blink and you're missing. It's one of those like, all right, like this scene's coming up. I have my eyes wide open, like don't blink, don't blink, don't blink. And like I saw him, but it's really like you could easily miss that. And then yes, the ghost was flying a lot in the final battle. You see it at least 5-6 frames flying around in the background. So many cool references. We don't know who besides Chopper and Hera is alive at this point in Rebels, but Dave Filoni actually said in an interview recently that when they call General Syndulla, it is actually Hera, not her father. So yeah, he goes, it's sort of a spoiler for Rebels. He goes, yes, he was, because Hera does get promoted to a general within the Alliance. So,
that's cool.
That's cool. And then he even my fucking stuffed nose. I sound like a, yeah. To me, I sound like super fucking crazy. I don't know if I sound crazy to you.
You sound all right.
So Dave Filoni even said that a possibility in Rebels is seeing the Battle of Scarif from the point of view of the Ghost.
That'd be cool to tie in. That'd be pretty neat.
It would be.
It would be cool if that was like basically not the end, but you know what I mean. Like that'd be like a really good finale
for a season. See,
yeah, that's what I mean.
I want this show to keep going because there is absolutely no need to end it when A New Hope starts. Like we've seen that. It's like, obviously Kanan and Ezra can't be alive or around.
Yeah,
because they would use it would have.
Can you imagine if they tied into like episode 9 or 8, like Ezra, like somehow like all the way in? Like,
there's already talk people going, is Ezra Snoke? It's like, dude, anybody we don't know in fucking Star. Like you even said like that guy in Darth Vader's castle. Do you think that's Snoke? It's like I don't know. It's like
He's not Snoke anyways. He's been proven not to be Snoke. He's actually, you do see him in Jedi, Return of the Jedi, where he comes onto like when the Emperor walks on, he has like his cronies behind him, like the Imperial Court.
Oh.
He's supposed to be one of those guys.
Oh, okay. I thought they were just like influential businessmen or something.
No, they're like part of the Imperial Court.
Oh, okay. So he just hangs out at Darth Vader's castle?
I don't know, but I liked the fact that we have opposing views on Vader's castle of why it's there. I've been proven right on this one. Yes. I will send you the video, sir, of he chose his I hate Vader's castle. I don't know why it makes me think of like the old shitty Marvel comics from like the 80s.
Yeah, but I mean that was part of George Lucas's script.
I know, but I call it his fortress because castle sounds
my Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah. Vader's fortress is on Mustafar, which I liked. I actually had to turn. I was like, "That's Mustafar, right?" Like this, but they didn't give you like the little name like they did forever because we've been there before, and it didn't quite have the same. Like it looks like it might be on like a different continent or something because it's not like as much.
It's not as lava-y.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
It was a nice day.
Yeah. So yeah, the fact that his redoubt is there is because he reflects on that every day.
Now, where did you get this information?
It was a YouTube video, but it was backed up with sources and shit like that in the description. I'll send it to you.
All right.
It was, you know what I mean? So, just he goes there to like to heal himself with the Bacta tank and meditate and think about how he failed there. It wasn't Palpatine putting it there as like a cruel joke, which
that was my theory. It was Palpatine's like, it's like, I give you land and power. The land just happens to be at that place where you failed.
But see, I don't like that because that's Palpatine just beating down Vader too much. Because Vader doesn't have to stay there. Vader is, to me, it's more empowering. See, that's more empowering for Sidious. But for me, it's more empowering for Vader to choose to be there because he.
Well, no, sure, he's not. He doesn't have to be there all the time. But it's like, instead of like giving him the nice view on Coruscant, he gave him the nice view on fucking
Yeah, his failure planet.
Yeah, it's, you know,
know?
it's like again. I think it would be the Emperor's train of thought would be to remind him of his failure, because that's where he thought he killed Padme. That's where he was dismembered by Obi-Wan. Mm-hmm. That was his biggest failing moment of his life. That's where he lost everything. So
it's where Anakin Skywalker literally died.
So
Vader was.
I can see the Emperor having his home be there as a way to rib him, but also knowing that anger does make Vader stronger.
Yeah, but see, I just personally like it better that it's Vader's own personal agency to choose to live there. Like, he could live anywhere he wants, but this place where Vader, he was Darth Vader before he had the suit. But as far as we're all concerned, Vader was born on Mustafar. Right. As soon as he was burned, you know what I mean? That's Vader right there. It's the planet of his birth. You know what I mean? Like, all the anger and hatred he has is concentrated in that one area. So of course it'd be like his strongest. You know what I mean? And the way the video described it, I'll send it to you later on.
Oh, and he hates sand. And since so many planets are desert in Star Wars, he couldn't live anywhere else.
Yeah. Can you just imagine him living on like Naboo? Like frolicking in the flowers, riding one of those giant weird termite pig things, the cows.
These things are so fun.
But yeah, I think that I want to see more movies like this one.
How about that Vader scene though? We haven't even
good Christ!
talked about that.
Yeah, he was out of night. I thought it was cool, but what made it was when that guy who had the plans, they were playing hot potato with it, like pass it.
Well, he's like, open the door, save us! Oh shit, take it, take it.
When he did that, and he was like, just take it, that guy right there. That is a goddamn Academy Award winning actor.
Yeah, all of them.
I know,
all of those.
But
dudes.
that guy in particular, sold that on me. Like, Vader was scary, don't get me wrong,
right.
But seeing the sheer terror in that dude's face was like, holy shit. I mean, I didn't like Vader's, nitpicking, I know. I didn't like Vader's hand motions, like when he used the Force to, like, throw things, or like when he was choking Krennic earlier in the movie. I didn't really like the way he did it. It didn't look right. It looked like his hand was like Stretch Armstrong, all bent funny. Like, ugh. But good Christ, like the fact that when he stuck the guy up on the ceiling, and then as he was killing him, and then he just
walking by,
he's just like, just nonchalantly cut you in half. Fuck you.
Because it's like, I'm not choking you, I'm just holding you up there.
Yeah, he's like, fuck you, fuck your mom, fuck your mom's mama. You know what I mean? Dude, he just murdered everything. And we talked about it also. I like the idea of it being like a day later, like in the continuity of, in my mind, my headcanon, Tantive 4 takes off, goes to hyperspace. It takes a little while for the Devastator to like track where they went using sensors and like their hyperspace coordinates and stuff like that to map it out. They do it, and then there's like a slight running battle between the two for like a couple hours or something like that. So you've
like I said, well, I'm sure they'll come out with an official time frame.
I'm just saying in my head.
Yeah, like it could not be more than 12 hours.
Yeah.
I don't think.
See, I like the idea of it. The 12 hour. I like 12 hours to 24 hours because it gives it a long enough stretch of time to where the tension in that situation builds, and to me, it puts more emphasis. It reminds me of the episode 33 from Battlestar. You know, where every 33 minutes they have to jump. It's like I love the in my head again, my headcanon, the idea of like the run and gun battle where the Devastator will lose by sensor wise where the Tantive 4 is, and then it picks him up again, and then the Tantive 4 thinks they get away and like behind this plant, and then they pick him up again. It's like they're trying so hard to get away until Leia's like, "Fuck it, go to Tatooine. We gotta do this." You know?
See, I like that idea, but I think they jumped. They went beeline for Tatooine because the idea was, look, we gotta go get Obi-Wan. We gotta get these plans to Alderaan. I think they thought they got away. They were on a high alert, but I think they got away clean.
Yeah,
is that's the impression that I get again because I went home that night and I popped in A New Hope right after.
Yeah,
so
it's a good movie. I like how it leads right in. I mean, man, I just want to see more movies in between the original trilogy movies.
No, like, they did so. The fucking they had the Endor helmets, they had the Hoth jackets.
It fleshed out events and made me appreciate A New Hope, And that's what I want for other original trilogy movies. I want things to know what's going on with the Alliance in the greater scheme of things.
You really get a great new perspective. I think I even said this to you. You get such a good perspective, and that's even the prequels. The prequels make you look at the original trilogy differently.
Yeah,
they make you think more, and I love that. Like if you could get a doctorate in Star Wars philosophy, I would get it. I would have it because I could watch those movies for my whole life, and
even
constantly,
the
even the prequels, and constantly think of new things and make connections and see things that other people wouldn't see, wouldn't put together.
Dude,
weren't
that's
there.
what I do all day.
Yeah, it's just like, it's like I would have a PhD in Star Wars.
Yeah.
That if I could, and I would teach it. I would teach the philosophy of Star Wars at the State University, because it really is it's like this. You can't do that with anything else. You can't do that with Lord of the Rings. You can't do that with Star Trek.
You can do it with Lord of the Rings. People do, but there's a difference. See, the thing is to me, Lord of the Rings loses to Star Trek in a very general sense. Star Wars. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. Apologies.
How much have you drank?
1 beer.
Oh my God.
Dude, I'm tired, man. So, like, I have a friend at work who's very into Lord of the Rings. Not like speaking high elfish like Lord of the Rings, but very into it. He owns the Silmarillion. He owns all the books. He knows all the terms and this and that. And we have like little debates. And the reason Star Wars wins is because it has depth, but it also has width. It has width in its continuity and its stories.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't just take one narrow band of things and just... It's not a mile deep with like 40 different languages for one species and this and that. But you've got a huge, broad scope of events and characters. You can go on the Star Wars Wikipedia and read an entire biography about like
the guy in Cloud City with the ice cream maker.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's insanity.
Yeah,
and that's why I love Star Wars. But God damn it, this movie was good. I'm gonna see it Christmas Day night with Jalen.
I want to see it at least one more time before it leaves it's not going to leave theaters anytime soon, but no. I definitely want to go check it out again. I recommend you go see it.
I'm going to go see it.
And then plop in A New Hope as soon as you can. Yeah. Like you just see the stakes. Like we all know that we all know the stakes are supposed to be high in A New Hope. But after watching Rogue One, when Leia, her message to Obi-Wan where she says, this is our most desperate hour.
No.
It really is. Yeah. After watching that, it's like, it's like what we just did was fucking crazy, Obi. We need you right now, dude, because holy shit.
I know.
I like that's her speech, and that's what she's essentially saying in like, modern talk right now.
In a fucked up way, I want to see them. We talked about this before. How clunky the fight is between Vader and Obi-Wan, and how hard it is to watch. Jalen, the first time, my daughter, she's 9, the first time she watched that when she was like 6, was enthralled. She thought it was the coolest thing. Fast forward to Return of the Jedi, she can't stand to watch that battle, and then you go to the prequels, and she's like, "What?"
They're flipping all over the place.
What is this trash of A New Hope with this battle? It's just two broken old men.
Well, see, now, I've already, because...
Notice that in that Vader scene, by the way, he even fights like Vader. When he swings the saber one-handed, he has like the motion, like this weird wrist motion that he has in Empire Strikes Back.
Well, like I said, dude, attention to detail. Yeah. That is part of what makes this movie great is the absolute attention to detail. But dude, I already headcanoned the Obi-Wan Vader fight in my head after watching Rogue One and then watching A New Hope. Is that they never actually started fighting. All we saw in A New Hope was just they were just testing their defenses and just mouthing off at each other.
You should have lowered your defenses
because it's been 19 years since these men have seen each other. So, Vader doesn't know if Obi-Wan has trained more and learned something. He said now I am the master, but that's just him mouthing off. Yeah. I think he learned from his fight with his last fight with Obi-Wan, to not underestimate Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan doesn't know what Vader's capable of now that he's in the suit. So I think it was just a lot of like, I'm gonna go up here, you're gonna block me. I'm gonna go here, you're gonna block me. And we're talking, and then when Obi-Wan just kind of like, essentially looks like he gives up, Vader's like, I see a window, killing this motherfucker.
It makes sense headcanon, but goddamn, it looks awful.
I know. That's the only way you can justify it. That's the only way.
Even so.
Because his fight with Luke, he's not trying to kill Luke.
Yeah.
And then in Jedi, he's, again, not trying to kill Luke.
Yeah.
So it's
that's why it was good to see him in such like a murderous rage.
Right, because he doesn't give a fuck about these guys.
Yeah. You know what? I would have liked to see, because you know how the Star Destroyer, the Devastator, overtakes the Tantive Force so easily? You know what I mean? I would have loved to see him reach out with the Force and just like crush one of the engines or some shit. Just like do something, and you just see like part of like the whole like, you know what I mean? And that's why the Tantive Force is so much slower than the Star Destroyer. I don't know why. That's just one of those little things. I was like, how cool would that be to see Vader like reach out across that huge distance with the Force? We know he can do it. We've seen him do it.
Yeah.
We've seen him choke people from across the goddamn galaxy.
No, in Rebels he lifts it's not an AT-AT, like an AT-PT walker, like off of himself while it's on fucking fire.
Yeah.
So,
you know, I mean, I don't know. So, anyway, that's our review. Go see this movie.
Yeah. I'm not even sorry that we rambled.
No.
And we could keep rambling, but we are going to pass out.
Yeah, it's 10:15 at night. We've worked full days. Well, I have. You had a baby. Took care of a baby. You didn't
Just
push out
right
a baby.
now, pushed him right out.
It looks just like me.
Ooh, facial hair and all.
Yep.
Yeah, no. So dude, we could talk Star Wars all night. Well, clearly we can't, but if we started earlier, we could. We hope you guys enjoyed this rant. This is a standalone for Modern Retro. Maybe we'll do more of these in the future. I would definitely love to have more follow-ups. Maybe get some Aaron input. You fucking pretender. Nah, I'm kidding. Aaron's a fan. He just has not. He
hasn't delved as deep into the ways of the Force as me and Cuba have.
Roy and I have gone down that fucking rabbit hole.
It's in a sad way. I own over 100 of the EU books. That's why I'm like, God damn it! I can tell you who Coran Horn and Kip Duran and Kenneth Hamner and Sabas Septine. I know all the characters. Damn it!
So tell us, what did you like about Rogue One? What was your favorite part? What did you not like? Did you not like the movie? If you didn't like the movie, why didn't you? Do you have any of the little nitpicky things that we didn't pick up on? Because honestly, that's all we have for negative parts of the movie is the tentacles monster and just all these little nitpicky things. Because other than that, it's a solid movie.
Or, I mean, even if you guys disagree with what we say, comment, let us know. Or if you agree, you know what I mean? We'll have a running dialogue. We will answer, we'll answer back.
Yeah, give us your own headcanon. We want to hear from you. Yeah. We love Star Wars, assuming if you've actually listened to almost the hour and 40 minutes of this, you love Star Wars as well. So all right. Hit us up on our Facebook, our Twitter, both Modern Retrocast at respective Facebooks and Twitters, and our email at modernretrocast@gmail.com. And of course, the website, which is the grand central hub of all things Modern Retro, modernretrocast.com.
There we go. All right, guys. Have a good night. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
And may the Force be with you. Remember,
Always.
Your Force is with you, and you are one with the Force. Wait, what's he saying?
Yeah.
Ah, shit.
Is that a small moon? No, it's a space station. Caught in the Death Star. No escape from this tractor beam. Oh, close your eyes. Be one with the Force and see. Now a Sith, not tonight, lot of dark
and Jabba just captured Han, took him down without a fight, and now he's frozen carbonite. Well, Jabba, Luke Skywalker's come to free his friend.